Hi, do you know what GM food is? Today, let's explore it in a supermarket together. This is your shopping list for today. Now, we arrive at the supermarket. On the shelf, you can see two kinds of chips. One is the normal chips we see every day. The other one is labeled non-GMO, but it costs more. So now you're confused. Which one would you choose? What is the real difference? Let's ask some shoppers first.
Do you know what GM food is?
Yeah, I think I know a little. Yeah, I think the GM food is like the genetically modified food, and I think it is made for like increasing the production of the crops or something. Yeah, I think decreasing the effect of some insecticide. Yeah, it's also another purpose, I think.
Do you check if food is GM or non-GMO when shopping?
No, I don't care about it when I buy some food. But if there is some label on the food, I feel like, and also there is some regular food, I feel like, oh, I should buy this. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but I feel like I should buy regular one. Yeah.
Do you think GM food is safe?
Yeah, I think almost safe. I think, yeah, because I think in many cases, all genetically modified food is tested in scientific way, and yeah, I do science, so yeah, I think it is almost safe. But I think there is also some risk that the food affect human body in a negative way. I think also those are risky.
In general, prior knowledge with scientific, so basically I have a prior knowledge in the scientific background. When it comes to genetically modified food, I'm not actually really afraid when it comes whether or not it will harm my body. Specifically, it's because genetically modified food are genetically modified not in a way that it will affect human physiology, but specifically plant physiology. It's meant to make sure that plants are going to survive longer, be able to survive harsher weather or different geographical location. In the very end of the day, I feel like genetically modified food is not going to really fully affect me as a human, because it's just only meant to make it stronger. Whether or not it's healthier, I'm not 100% sure.
Would you let your family eat GM food?
No. Oh, I definitely would let them eat genetically modified food because, as I said before, I don't really think that it's gonna harm my family in any way whatsoever. Especially the fact that, again, it's just modifying the genetics of plants. It doesn't modify the genetics of human genes, anyways. Especially the fact that human genes don't just mutate over food, as simple as food that is genetically modified, unless the food in question is modified with mercury or, I don't know, plutonium or whatever.
Would you choose GM food if it were cheaper than non-GM food?
Sure. If you prove that the genetic food is safe, sure.
After talking to shoppers, we noticed something interesting. Opinions vary widely. So let's take a look at how GM foods are discussed on social media.
Why GMO foods are bad for your health. The main GMO crops in the US include corn, soybean, and canola oil. These crops are genetically modified to withstand Roundup weed killer, aka glyphosate, which is linked to a ton of health issues. So while the concept of GMOs might not automatically be a bad thing, you have to ask yourself, why is this food being genetically modified? To avoid GMOs, simply shop these items organic.
Genetically modified crops are plants whose genetic material has been manipulated to create genomes that do not exist in nature, which is genetically modified technology.
Do you know that corn is white? Yes, it's white. So where did the yellow color come from?
Yellow color comes from carotenoids, natural pigments that also give carrots and pumpkin their bright colors. Carotenoids aren't just for show. They're rich in vitamin A, and it is important for eyes and immune system.
BT corn has a special gene from natural soil bacteria. This gene helps the corn make its own bug repellent. So when certain insects eat it, the bugs die but the corn stays safe. It reduces the need for pesticide and it's still safe for us to eat.
So yeah.
Genetically modified foods. Genetically modified foods cause cancer because genetically modified foods are a result of the DNA of two species being spliced together.
There's been around 5,000 risk assessments of genetically modified crops dating back to 1992, and every single one of those risk assessments by all those governments have all concluded that the risk of a GM crop is no different than the risk of producing a non-GM crop. I would actually argue it's even safer than non-GM.
Consumers, they often think that the process is unnatural, but it is natural. Actually, everything is genetically modified in nature. Agriculture is becoming more productive, more efficient as a result of biotechnologies.
Nothing in our grocery stores is more regulated and had more risk assessment than GM products. They're safe for the environment and safe for human consumption.
We've seen a lot of information about GM foods, but how can we tell what's right and what's not? Let's go back to the science behind it. Let's take potatoes as an example. Here, we see a potato that has already rotted during transportation. It was harvested only 4 days ago. For farmers and shops, this means money is being lost. Food is wasted before anyone even gets to eat it. So scientists started exploring ways to address this problem. Scientists found that many farm potatoes are weak against plant diseases. When plant diseases attack, they do not have the ability to fight back very well. But in nature, some wild potatoes are different. They have natural defense genes that help them fight disease. So scientists took these helpful genes and added them to the potatoes we grow on farms. This makes the potatoes stronger, so they stay fresh longer during storage and transport. In this way, farmers can earn more from their crops. Studies estimate that GM crop technology has generated over $260 billion in additional farm income worldwide since the late 1990s. In India, research based on household data shows that adopting GM crops reduced food insecurity by about 15 to 20%, as higher incomes helped farming families improve their quality of life. So now that we know more about the science, let's go back and take another look at the information we saw on social media. The question you probably care about most is GM food safe? From a scientific perspective, in many approved GM crops, the introduced genes are sourced from organisms that humans already consume, rather than being entirely unknown genetic constructs. From a regulatory perspective, genetically modified foods cannot be put on the market immediately after development. Regulatory authorities require systematic safety assessments, and this process usually takes several months to several years. Take genetically modified soybean as an example. Only after around 10 to 15 years of research, development, and multiple rounds of risk assessment, and after confirming that it does not introduce new food safety risks, was it allowed to enter the market? But this does not mean that GM foods are 100% safe. Like all foods, GM foods may still involve long-term uncertainties. According to scientific research, the biggest unknown risk for humans is related to allergies. As consumers, we have the right to choose whether or not to consume genetically modified foods. In supermarkets, you will usually see 3 types of options: products labeled as GM food, products labeled as non-GMO, and products with no such labeling at all. Products labeled as GM food or contains GMOs generally indicate that their ingredients or production processes involve genetic modification, and these products have already been evaluated and approved by local food safety regulatory authorities. Products labeled as non-GMO indicate that genetically modified ingredients were not used during the production process. However, in many countries, this label is a voluntary market label rather than a regulatory requirement. and it does not mean that the product is more nutritious or safer than other foods. Research suggests that non-GMO labels are often associated with consumer preferences and risk perception, and may result in a certain price premium. For products without any GMO-related labeling, this usually means that they comply with local food safety regulations. In some cases, if genetically modified materials have been broken down during highly processed manufacturing steps and no longer contain detectable GMO components, regulations may not require GMO labeling. This is common for highly processed foods, such as potato chips and vegetable oils. Therefore, foods available in supermarkets, whether labeled as GM, non-GMO, or not labeled at all, are considered to meet food safety requirements from a regulatory perspective. So in the end, this debate isn't just about safety, but about how we understand the science and decide what to eat. As a result, these labels primarily serve to provide consumers with the right to make informed choices. When it comes to decisions that directly affect health, consumers should pay closer attention to nutrition information, such as protein and fat content, rather than focusing solely on production method labels. So now, you've probably made up your own choice. Let us know what your choice is in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.